No, this is not the White House. I think we can go through the garden, though. This is the cathedral up in Northwest. We are going to walk to the White House. We got to go through the garden, the Bishop's Garden. And we're going to make our way down to the White House. And this is going to take about, honestly, it's going to take about a half hour, 45 minutes to get to the White House. Because it's not that close. It's a couple miles away. Oops, lots of kids today. Right. Just trying to get out. Yeah, it's a pretty garden. My kids actually have a class here. The school. So the school brings the kids over to this garden, and they teach them the story of Adam and Eve. And they give the kids like 3 rules. They give the kids 3 rules that they're to obey. And then secretly, they time every year class to see how long it takes for the kids to break the 3 rules. And then they have kind of a comparison. Like, is this class going to be more obnoxious than last year's class? Blah, 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 blah. So that's where they do their lessons about the Garden of Eden in the Bishop's Garden at the National Cathedral here. Don't think they'll do it this year. Well, they might do it this year. Those are cicadas. Those are the annual cicadas. Next year is the 17-year cicadas. And they'll be out. Next year is going to be just nuts. Just nuts. This year's pretty loud. Next year's going to be really loud. So we're going to walk down Embassy Road today. It's usually where I hike most days. And we're heading to the White House. I don't know why, I just thought let's go to the White House today. Yeah, it's been that long since the 17-year cicadas have been out. 11-year, I don't even know which ones are coming out next year. The noisy ones. Hello. I don't know, maybe we should go a different road today. What do you guys think? Do you guys want to go down Embassy Row, or do you want me to cut through other parts of the city today? Other parts? Okay. Think about how to get to the other parts, though. That's the only thing. You know what I could do? This would actually be kind of cool. I could show you guys the French ambassador's house. The French ambassador's house is stunning. I think I've only shown it to you once or twice. So my son's school is actually got the kids coming back for fitness. I do miss Hong Kong. I wish there was a hot dog cart on the way, but I haven't seen a good hot dog cart in years. So this is my son's schoolmates. Obama's house does live down that way, but I can't actually go up to it because of the security. But you know what I could do is I can walk down Embassy Row a little bit, and then I'll cut over to Connecticut Avenue. We'll see Obama's place. We'll see Ivanka Trump's place. Then we'll see the French ambassador's house, which is really gorgeous. And then we'll go by where President Reagan was shot, the assassination attempt on President Reagan, and make our way through downtown DC. Well, you know what? We'll go to Black Lives Matter Plaza. We can go to Black Lives Matter Plaza, and then we'll end up at the White House. There are no good Chinese restaurants here. I eat Vietnamese food occasionally, though. The Vietnamese isn't bad. So these are the fifth graders who are out there right today. Fifth graders are on campus today. What, are they playing lacrosse or something? My son is in sixth grade. That's what they call 16th Street, where they painted the big Black Lives Matter sign. They call it Black Lives Matter Plaza. And it's kind of got like this festive atmosphere of t-shirt vendors and smoothies. There's a China block in DC. It's called Chinatown, but it's only about 1 block long, so the locals all call it China Block, and the food there sucks. There's a collection of Chinese groceries and restaurants out in Maryland, but again, they're all kind of Hello, Mexico. So we're going to actually walk down here. We're going to go see the Belgian embassy. Then we'll see the Norwegian embassy, the Vatican, the Finland, the Vice President's house. Make our way down past England, South Africa. And then we're going to cut over to Ivanka Trump's house, French ambassador's residence, the place where Reagan was shot, and make our way to Black Lives Matter Plaza, and then onto the White House. So guys, you guys have charted out a big hike for me today. This hike's going to take about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. So, right here in the shade, it's low 80s, but in the sun, it's like mid to high 80s. In Celsius, it's like 27 maybe. Yeah, it's not 20. In the shade, it's actually a little cool. Yeah. I'm going to vote for myself probably again. I voted for myself last time. Yeah, 27, 28 Celsius, which is about 80, 82, something like that, Fahrenheit. We are getting our exercise in. This is our normal daily walk. I just figured out I need to switch my Apple Watch. Hang on a second. Because when I hold my phone in my right hand, I'm not getting like the motion on the Apple Watch. I need to put the Apple Watch on the left hand. Well, it took me a year of having this thing to figure that out. There we go. Ooh, it feels weird. There we go. Keep it international. So that's the Belgian embassy, and it's actually under renovation right now. It's closed. The flags are not actually flying. I think the Belgians are in a temporary space. Embassies, they constantly move around. In fact, the Australians right now are in the National Geographic building. My son gets along well enough with the kids here. There are a few differences. Like, my kids are still relatively clueless as to baseball, football, hockey, etc. They don't really follow any teams here like the kids here do. They do follow the international soccer, which is a little bit strange because when my boys talk about soccer, they talk about, I don't know, Arsenal and Juventus, Barcelona, or even, other teams, Cambridge United, or, Milton Keynes, stuff like that. And the kids here are all just like, MLS, maybe, kinda. So there are a few international students at his school, though, and they can talk European soccer till they turn blue. I didn't actually. I was a political science major. My minor was in English, actually. Though, of course, the difference between political science and history is about 6 weeks. Okay. I let them go. I'll stay on the side of the street. Poli-sci, the future lawyers of America. It's interesting though, I worked in politics. I do read history. I do read what's going on in my neighborhood, so I pay attention to little foibles and stories that pop up here and there. This is, whose embassy is this, or residence? It's like Myanmar. What flag is that? Bhutan? Blue, red, green, some sort of thing in the middle. Name the flag, guys. Name the flag. Oh, it's got a crescent. So it's a Muslim country. A bit, yeah, we've gone, actually watched the videos a bit. We've talked about why the protests are going on and a bit about not getting extreme. Hang on a second. We're going to go past the Norwegian embassy is under a massive renovation. I'm going to get on this other side of the street. Yeah, this is up in the nice part of town. This is the Vatican's embassy backyard. Yeah, it happens sometimes. Oh, it's loud. So that's the Vatican's embassy. This is the Norwegian embassy. Under renovation. They still are actually in this part, but they're redoing the back side of the embassy. And straight ahead is the Vice President Pence's house. Vice President Pence lives at the U.S. Naval Observatory, which is this building right up here. He has a house just behind these trees. There were a few African American kids in Hong Kong. It was a mix. My son did know many black people, but most of them were from Africa itself. They weren't African Americans. They were African Africans, I guess. And so, their soccer coaches, then some of the soccer coaches had kids that my kids knew, trained with and stuff like that. So this is the Vatican embassy. Over there is the Vice President's house. You can just see it through the trees, maybe, kinda. That's Vice President Pence's house. And these are the Finns, the Finnish embassy. They have a little library. What are the new books this week? Nothing decent. Sometimes the embassies will highlight local authors. So they'll bring like a bunch of books out from young, developing Finnish authors, and they'll put them in the library as a way to distribute the literature of their countries to a greater population. So these little libraries by the embassies are kind of a cool way to discover new works. I just read my kid is reading Red, White, and Black. It's a 3-book series by a Finnish author. It's like a young adult's version of Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. Which is kind of hard to believe, but yeah. I have to get the name of those books. I think they're actually at my beach house. I think my kid took them to the beach house and hasn't brought them back yet. I'm going to go get those. The other day I was walking down here and the Vice President's helicopter was flying overhead. Went right over my head and landed. Then it came back again. I was like, huh? Now this I just never understand. You like lose a wheel. How did the car leave? It's like, alright. That makes little sense. That happened to me on the Beltway the other day. I was driving on the big freeway around Washington, D.C. and all of a sudden all the cars in front of me started stopping for no reason. And then a giant wheel just started bouncing down my lane towards us. And I'm like, oh, come on. I look over on the other side of the freeway, and a car has lost a wheel and was skidding to a halt. My kids are in online school today. Today is actually the first day of their online school. So the kids are in class in front of their computers right now, which is why I bailed out. I was like, you know what? I don't have to entertain them. I can leave. So I'm out for a hike. We're not really sure how this online thing is going to work, because when we did online in the spring, we were in our house, which is big and there's lots of room, yada yada. But now we're all crammed in our little apartment 24 hours a day, and we're going to kill each other, I think. So I'm having to force the kids to go outside and exercise just to get out of the house, just to get away from each other. I mean, we could go back to the beach house to do it, but the problem is the kids have to physically be at school one day a week, and they have some athletic practices during the week. And to be honest, we're really, really bored of the beach house, because, I mean, there's like nothing to eat. There's no good restaurants out there. It's just like McDonald's, Burger King, Subway. And after you've been eating like that for like months on end, we're just kind of like, no. I'm in Northwest DC. We're right now at the British Embassy, just across from the Vice President's house over there. And we're making our way down Massachusetts Avenue, also known as Embassy Row. Actually, I'm actually going to the beach house later today, maybe, or tomorrow. I haven't decided, because it is the weekend. I think I'm just going to go hang out there for a couple days and just chill. It is a long weekend, yeah. Our school is doing a pretty good job with the online learning. They're trying to make it as school-like as possible. So instead of like the teacher just being a talking head, the teacher's actually got like a little whiteboard set up, and they move around the classroom. So it looks like you're just basically watching a class on TV rather than talking to a talking head. I've actually made that recommendation. I said, you know, the kids seem more engaged when they're watching it like a class rather than when they're talking to a head. So that's the British ambassador's residence. Yeah, it'll be an interesting story. I mean, their back to school pictures had a face mask this year. The cameras work both ways, so they can see the kids looking away or jumping up and down. It's funny, I was listening into the kids' class today, and one of the kids is like, you know, Mr. So-and-so, can I go to the bathroom? They're like, yeah, go. Because they gotta like get up and everything like that. This is the South African embassy. This was actually the embassy during the apartheid era, but then after apartheid ended, they expanded the embassy, and this is Nelson Mandela. Little statue of him. 3051 Mass Avenue, and we've got to go down to like the unit blocks. We've got like Oh, F me. We got like 20, 30 blocks to go. It's going to be a bit of a hike today. And you know what? This side of the street is the sun. It sucks. That's the embassy of the plurinational state of Bolivia. That's the official title written on the side of that embassy over there. And that's the Brazilian embassy. This is the old Moroccan embassy. And it is currently on the transfer market for cash and or players to be named later. When a country loses or moves away from their embassy, they often sell to some other country. The problem with this embassy is that a lot of countries don't want a lot of embassies don't have a need for a giant blue domed mosque-like thing, so that one hasn't really transferred well. I don't think the French want it. The Germans. I don't know who else is around here. So Brazilian ambassador's residence. This, I don't know who lives here. So this is the Brazilian ambassador's house. Ah, hey, Turkey, how's it going? Guess what? Turkish embassy in 3 minutes. Yeah, 3 minutes we're going to pass the Turkish embassy. The Obamas are in 3 minutes too. I just have to... God, these trucks are loud. This is why I hate hiking in this country. Ugh, so freaking loud. Anyway, Turkish embassy, Obama residence, Russian spy base, Ivanka Trump, French ambassador's residence, and the Italian embassy is right over there. So we're going to go see all of those in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So that's the... I didn't bring 2 phones or a charger today, but I've got a pretty good charge. I found out the reason my phone died the other day is because I was using my AirPods, and I think the AirPods suck down the battery of the phone a lot faster than I have a wired mic today, a lapel mic with a windscreen, so that's why hopefully it should sound a little bit better. Mask on, mask off. I feel like Karate Kid. Wax on, wax off. Mask on, mask off. Do I like the AirPods? I actually do. I am surprised. I have the original ones. I don't have the new ones because I don't like how they felt. But yeah, I'm finding it a lot easier not to have a wire dangling around, and they're lightweight. So you don't even know they're there. I mean, you literally don't know they're there. Whereas the old earpods had the wire, and after when you're on a long haul flight, they started to notice. They started to really bug you. Yeah. So we are now crossing Rock Creek Parkway, which is a national park. On the left you see Rock Creek, and on right you see the parkway. Ergo, Rock Creek Parkway, yeah? It is easy to forget you have them on. I take my shirt off sometimes and I've got them in. I'm like, ah, crap. So this is a national park. It's about 2,000 acres, which is a couple square miles, I think. What's a square mile? 600 acres is a square mile? 640, something like that. I tell you, if you want to get Apple EarPods and you need to get a new computer, Apple currently has an education discount which knocks $100 off the price of your computer and gives you free AirPods. Free! So if you, for some reason you can get the education discount, like you got a kid in school or something, you can do that. Does Obama have workers from the White House? Obama will have a staff paid for by the U.S. government. They're not necessarily White House employees. They're office of the former president of the United States agency, or whatever the hell they call that. He also has Secret Service protection for life. But I think he has a couple secretaries and maybe an aide or two who deal with all this correspondence and travel and requests and stuff like that. Yeah, if you're in school, you could use that. I just spaced out. I just said, oh my God, do I have my earpods in? I don't feel them. And I realized I don't have them in. Okay, Turkish embassy. That's the Turkish embassy. You guys wanted to see? I'll show you that. And then we're going to go back around and see the Russians. The Russian spy base. I cannot get very close to the Obamas at all. In fact, you will see a couple police cars, and that's about as close as we can get. So, this is the Turkish embassy, for those who are looking for Turkey. And this is the Embassy of Belize Chancery building, which is a small building. And then, this is there people who see the Obamas? Well, his neighbors, yeah, they're allowed in. And then, of course, the aide. This is Obama's backyard. I have the mask back on right now. Okay, I pulled the mask down. DC law actually requires us to wear a mask in public. I occasionally pull it down when there's nobody around, but if I see other people, I do pull the mask up. So this building here on the right is the Russian Defense Attaché's office. This is where the Russians do all their spying. Usually, not today, usually there's FBI cars on the other side. So, 2552 is the address. This is the GRU FSB. There, you see this road is blocked off with a Secret Service police car. That's the Uniform Division of the Secret Service. Obama lives there. So that is where Obama lives. Why is it part of their embassy? We have a defense attaché in Moscow, and they have a defense attaché here. And when there's an issue concerning the two militaries, those attachés talk to each other. And this house here, this White House you're now seeing with the fence in front, this is Ivanka Trump's house. So Ivanka and her children live here. It is guarded 24/7 by Secret Service. I think we do. I don't know if it's a separate building. I'm sure we have overt ones like that and covert ones that you'll never know about. Now this area here is known as Kalorama Circle. This is the most expensive neighborhood in Washington, D.C. We're less than a mile to the White House. There's another war wagon. See that car there, that black Suburban? There are Secret Service agents in that car in the front seat. No, Ivanka lives right there in that house. So, this is their ambassador's residence. I tell you though, those Secret Service agents weren't too good. I mean, they were staring at their phones. They didn't even look up at me. It's like, okay, I'll go with it. Now we're going to make our way to the White House, but I don't know how close we can get today. The White House has been closed in the last few weeks. Whew. Jared Kushner was back at the end of that street. We saw that just about a minute ago. You saw Ivanka and Jared's house. The White House is less than a mile away. So this is where a lot of ambassadors live, a lot of cabinet secretaries, wealthy Washingtonians. In fact, Jeff Bezos lives in this neighborhood, but the other direction. We're not going by his house today. What was his first wife? Was it Ivana? Ivana was his first wife, Ivanka's mom. I always get those two names messed up. JFK lived in Georgetown, which is a different neighborhood from here, and it's actually it's about a mile, or it's about 2 miles from here. I won't be going past his house today because I'm kind of in the other part of town. But my favorite house, my absolute favorite house in DC, starts here and ends around the block. So let's go take a look at this house. This house is posh. JFK's house is near the university. It's about 3 or 4 blocks from campus. In fact, last rites for JFK were held at a chapel, his neighborhood chapel, which is across the street from the main campus at Georgetown. Georgetown University is our nation's oldest Catholic university, but it's a bit of a hike from here. There's some ambassador residence. This is the Thailand ambassador lives here. The Mexican ambassador lives over there. But by far, my favorite house and favorite ambassador's residence is here. This is the French ambassador's home. The French ambassador lives here. And before you get too jealous, I should just say the American ambassador to Paris has an Sorry about that. Stupid camera. So this is the French ambassador's residence. Très bon. I was trying to take a screenshot and I turned off the phone. So the American ambassador to Paris is got a pretty posh place. There are security forces inside the building. They are not out walking a perimeter. Perimeter security is handled generally by the U.S. Secret Service Uniform Division, but there's really not a major threat. There's a great photo. There you go. Screenshot that. Maybe I can screenshot it. I tried that a second ago. There we go. If I jump the fence, not much, but eventually, I keep doing this damn thing wrong. Eventually somebody would come grab me. What do we got here? I think this is the Portuguese ambassador. Yeah, it froze again. I can't do screenshots, I've decided. So Portugal's ambassador lives here. Not quite the same as the French place. Now this building used to be the Chinese embassy, and it's been converted into apartments, but I think it's actually Chinese embassy employees. So I think this is the Chinese embassy's residence. I'm not sure. Froze again. Yeah, every time I try to take a screenshot, it does something stupid. Whew. Okay, the American ambassador to Paris has probably one of the poshest and swankiest houses in all of Paris. It is very, very posh. It is a social, trendy place. I'm not sure what neighborhood it's in, but it does rival the French ambassador's house here in Washington. We have passed Vice President Pence's house a while ago. We're now making our way down to the White House. We've slipped over to Connecticut Avenue to give you guys a little bit different view instead of my normal walk down Embassy Row. So we've cut over this way today just to be a bit different. So our next thing we're going to see is where President Reagan was shot. John Hinckley Jr. waited outside of the Washington Hilton for President Reagan to finish the speech to the AFL-CIO. When he came out, Hinckley fired 4 shots, hitting the president, press secretary, a police officer, and the Secret Service. The White House is closed for tours, but we can go outside, maybe. I don't know if they got the fence up. They might have the protest fence up right now. Yeah. Okay, so I can cross here. We've got a pedestrian crossing light activated for this little kid, so I'm going to use it to jaywalk myself. Whew. There we go. So, where the heck are we? California. Ugh. It is warm. I'm wearing a neck gaiter, which is kind of like wearing a scarf on a summer day. Embassy of Malta. So this is the Malta's embassy. And then this, oh, it's another Russian building. I don't know what the hell, this is like a trade building for the Russians. So this is another Russian compound. Russia's got a whole bunch of buildings in this town. When the Soviet Union broke up, Russia demanded all the embassies. So they got all of them. You saw Air Force One, cool. Air Force One actually frequently flies with its tracker on. So if you go to websites like ADSB Exchange, you can actually track Air Force One and Air Force whatever backup plane whenever the president flies somewhere. So if you're ever watching CNN, this statue, I don't think it's for Paul Revere, it's for some other dude. If you're ever watching, this is the Army of the Potomac, this might be the Civil War statue. Major General Brenton, what's his name? McClellan, this is McClellan, the Army of the Potomac. So that's the Hilton Hotel in Washington, D.C. Most of the locals call it the Hinckley Hilton because this is where Hinckley shot President Reagan. Reagan was shot right here outside when he was coming outside. So we'll show you over here. So if you watch the tape, so you see that garage right there? Across the street. Hang on, there's some cars coming. So that garage right there, that's a new addition. That garage did not exist at the time of the assassination attempt. That garage was added because of the assassination attempt as a way of getting people in or out. Now, kids are online today. ADSB Exchange, A Alpha Delta Sam Bravo. ADSB, I think that's what it's called. ADSB Exchange. Just you click on the U button. When you get onto the map, click the U for uniform, and you'll get all military aircraft. Okay, so Reagan came out there with, I think it's A Alpha Delta Sam Bravo. ADSB or Alpha Bravo Sam Delta. It's one of those two. So Reagan was shot there. His Secret Service cars came flying out. They actually jumped this curb. The presidential limo went over the curb. Motorcycles in front, screaming, police cars behind him, and Reagan heads back to the White House, which is only it's not even a mile away. And it's a straight shot right down this road. But as they went into this tunnel down here, the president started coughing up blood. And it was really, really white, frothy blood. The Secret Service agent knew that when you get the really bright blood, it means the blood has too much oxygen in it and that you have a lung injury. Now, they thought that they had broken the president's ribs, but he felt around and he felt like a bullet hole under the president's arm. So the agent in charge made the command decision, said, George Washington Hospital priority. So the motorcycles are flying back to the White House. The police cars are blocking the roads to the White House. And then the limo makes a right turn and heads over to George Washington Hospital. John Hinckley was the shooter. So Reagan shows up at the hospital. The motorcycles show up at the White House. They turn around. There's no limousine. And they're like, oh my God, what the hell happened? Because they were on a different radio net or something. They didn't know that they had changed the course. Reagan gets out of the car and he walks into the hospital like a badass. Then the doors close behind him and he immediately collapses on the floor. So the country was given this picture of, Reagan got shot, but he's just walking into the hospital because he's Reagan. The reality was the Secret Service dragged him onto a gurney and then rushed him into the ER. Now, by chance, pure chance, George Washington University Hospital that morning was having an all-doctor, all-campus meeting. It was their monthly staff meeting. So all the doctors are in the auditorium, doing this stuff. How many pencils should we buy this year? Who's going to coordinate the office Christmas party this year? Da-da-da-da-da. When all of a sudden, just about everybody's beeper went off simultaneously. It was just this cacophony of beepers. Beep, 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 beep. And they all turned off their beepers and they're like, something just happened. Something really bad. It's not far, it's less than a mile away. It's really quite close. So they all rushed in. So, they had the top ER doctors, the top surgeons, the top neurologists. Everybody was on call. And then they got down to the ER and suddenly the presidential limo comes in and they're just like, oh shit. So they wheeled Reagan in to the ER, and his last words before they put him out, he looked at the doctors and he said, I hope you're all Republicans. Now, the doctor in charge was actually a big Democrat, but he looked back at Reagan and said, Mr. President, today we're all Republicans. And they knocked him out and they went into surgery. Interesting side note about that, as they were taking the president's clothes and his other equipment, the Secret Service and the FBI got in a fight. The reason was inside President Reagan's shirt was a small index card with 10 different number letter combinations. those 10 different number letter combinations were the nuclear launch codes. All right? Those were the codes to launch the nukes. And they were in Reagan's shirt. But the FBI said, no, this is evidence. Secret Service said, F you, this is the nuclear launch codes. You're not taking them. The FBI said, oh, yes, we are. Secret Service was like, oh, no, you're not. And it got a little argy-bargy in there. I don't think they actually punched each other. But eventually, the FBI won. The FBI actually seized the nuclear launch codes. Basically what happens is your first day in office in the White House, the security aides come in there and they have a card with 10 numbers on it. And they say to the guy, Mr. President, which one do you want? And the president will say, number 7. And so they say, yes, sir, Mr. President, number 7 it is. And basically, if he wants to launch the missiles, he uses code number 7 or code number 5, whatever number he picks. Interesting side note to that, during the Clinton administration, it was later revealed that Clinton had lost his little launch card for a couple months. So they rather sheepishly were kind of embarrassed, but they did have to go back and go back to the military aides, and they're like, we kind of lost the index card. Where did you lose it? We don't know. We lost it a few months ago. They're like, oh my God. So Clinton was living for a few months without the launch codes. So they had to issue a new launch card and get a new number. They're like, please don't lose this one. Okay. Let's try AAAA. Nope. Okay. AAAB. Mr. President, the missiles are coming. AAAC. AAAD. Oh. I've told you that story before. When I was working for a congresswoman, I had to actually, President Bush Sr. and my boss, the congresswoman, were sitting together having a lunch. And she motioned to me to come up to talk to her. So I had to go up to her, and I took a knee between the president and her, and I briefed the president on this thing for about 30 seconds. And then I got to go down. So I was walking down, and right there was this naval officer, young naval officer, but he had braids. You know, and then next to him he had this satchel, this like suitcase kind of, like a square black bag that has like the flap that opens up on that and stuff, but it was made out of like leather and everything. And I looked at him and I looked at the box. I was like, is that it? And he just looked at me and he said, yes. I like, whoa. That was the football. The football carries the attack plans of the United States government. And a military aide is always within short distance of the president with the football. So now, when you're like a general or admiral's aide, you have these like special braids that you wear around your shoulder. Basically, those braids say, yes, I may be a lieutenant or a captain, but I'm working for some guy way above your pay grade. So please don't mess with me and ask me to get you a cup of coffee. The football is always with the guy. It's interesting you ask that. There was actually a proposal during the Cold War by some wacky professor who said the key to the football should be surgically embedded in the chest of the officer carrying the football. And the president should have to stab to death the officer with a knife to get the key out so that the president can understand the horrors of war before he orders the death of millions of people. I kid you not. There was actually a proposal. It was written up in the Washington Post, New York Times. This college professor is like, we have to stab to death the football carrier before we launch the nukes. Most people not on drugs thought that was a little bit crazy. Okay, so we just passed through DuPont Circle and we didn't step on a heroin needle. Woohoo! And we are making our way down to the White House. Yeah. It's a portable hand washing station. That's kind of neat. Oh. The weather is nice except when I'm in the sun, and when I'm in the sun it kind of sucks. It's kind of hot. The problem in DC is there's too many chill. Chill. So there's been 2 other movies filmed in these tunnels here. These DuPont Circle. These used to be the tunnels for the streetcars that don't run anymore. But one of the movies was Enemy of the State with Will Smith, and a guy that he was, a source that he was meeting, ran out, jumped into this tunnel, and was run over by bad CIA guys. The other movie was The Day the Earth Stood Still, when the alien was making his way back to the spaceship. He was being chased by the army in jeeps, and they went through these tunnels. So if you go watch either of those 2 movies today, you'll see these tunnels here in DuPont Circle. Does DC have a lot of hippies? It's too expensive for most hippies, to be honest. Unless they've sold out and opened like an or gourmet organic carrot juice shop or something like that. I am living in DC for a bit. Don't really like it here. Ugh. DC is still in a phase 2 lockdown. Phase 2 is still pretty restrictive. Like, for example, there's no sports allowed in DC. No like high school sports allowed. No, they can't even practice. Now DC has a metric that is a very good metric, but most states don't release. And that is the percent of new COVID cases that came from existing contacts of other cases. So it's a way to track, are the people who are getting sick related to the people who have previously been identified, or are they getting sick through unknown community spread? And right now, that number is about 7% of the people getting sick are getting sick through known contacts. 93% are unknown. And the city won't go back till stage 3 until the known contact number goes up to 60%. So we're going to be locked down in DC proper for a while. By way of comparison, in Hong Kong, something over 50 to 60% of the new cases can be directly traced back to existing cases. So they know how much is spreading, internally in a household and versus out in the public. Yeah. So what happens is, if you're positive, they say, well, can you please give us your contact list? And then they look at all the new cases, and then they compare the new cases to the contact list of the positive people to try to assess how many are close contacts and how many are sort of unknown contacts. American Society for Microbiology. It's just sort of a measurement of how it spreads. Is it known spread or unknown? And while it's unknown, they're pretty scary. That's a hotel. I think I knew that. I think I've actually had dinner there. Whoa. Central Federation of Women's Clubs. I think this was a big building in the suffragette movement. It's a national landmark. And a restaurant. I haven't been on this street in 20 years. I mean, I'm not missing much. It looks like every other street in Washington. Time's out? That's weird. The Society for the Science and the Public. I think is that the Society for the Science and the Public Interest? That's the guys who, I'm not sure who those are. Who's this one? Armenian National Committee of America. So these are all like little lobbying groups here. That's bizarre. 17th Street. Oh, we're almost over to 16th. So actually there was like an emergency over here today. They're building the new Australian embassy, and a bunch of pipes fell over and knocked out 2 guys, and they had to like pull them out, rescue them. The Australian embassy are in that building right now. That's the National Geographic Museum. But the Australian embassy, like, oh, the one back there, that one, that's the National Geographic Museum. So the Australian embassy rented like half of that building, since there's not much need for a museum right now. God, this mask is hot. Okay, guys, we're getting closer to the White House. We're getting close to Black Lives Matter Plaza. So we're going to walk down BLM Plaza, and then we're going to get as close to the White House as we can. I think, however, the White House is in protest mode, and protest mode means there's a giant fence surrounding everywhere at the White House. So that's where they're building the new Australian embassy. Yeah, there is a TV crew here. So there's a TV crew there. And no, Australia is not going to open I just read that. That's the Philippines next door. The Australians are talking about 2022. Closed borders until 2022. Almost like the Kiwis. It's interesting. I've read a lot of countries. Oh, this is University of California. That's CSIS. So this is a big think tank. This is kind of a conservative national security think tank. This is the University of California. A lot of universities have offices here, not just for lobbying, but also for students who are studying in Washington for a semester. This building right here used to be the National Rifle Association. Yeah, I think they've pretty much just written off tourism. But you know, I actually read a story like in Paris, Amsterdam, and Venice. A lot of residents have been actually kind of like, you know, this city is actually kind of nice without tourists. So people in Venice are like actually going out in Venice for the first time in like ever. Same with like Amsterdam and Paris. They're like, wow, I can actually get into the Eiffel Tower without having to wait 3 hours. And I can like go to a restaurant without being like surrounded by Americans. Ugh, dead rat. Ugh, stinky, smelly dead rat. Chinese American Museum. I didn't even know they had one. Hello, Hannah. We are on 16th Street making our way to the White House. The National Education Association. No, most of the museums in DC are closed. Some museums in Virginia have partially reopened. Like the Air and Space Museum is partially reopened in Virginia. Maybe we should go out there. It would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? I was thinking that the museum should coordinate a national shop in a museum day. Yeah? Like a day where everybody goes online and buys something from the museum gift shop as a way to try to spur more revenue to all these museums that are suffering. That'd be kind of a cool idea. Hello. So, where are we at? This is the old National Geographic building. So that's, I'm just walking to the White House. So that's the University Club. That's a private members only club. It's kind of swank. That's the old Russian embassy. I don't know who's there now, if that's like the ambassador's house or office. But that's where Khrushchev stayed when he came to visit Kennedy. And that's where the FBI determined Khrushchev had leukemia or cancer. This street has actually been renamed as Sakharov Plaza, after the Russian dissident Andrei Sakharov. So this was done during Soviet times. And there's the White House, folks, down at the end of the street. That's the White House down there. We got to make our way down there through the chaos. I'm just out for a walk. So this is either, God, look at all these cameras saying, go F off. Have fun with your facial recognition when I got my mask up. So those cameras are the Russians, but these cameras are the FBI's. I don't know if the Russian ambassador actually lives here or not. Whew. It is warm. Alright guys, we're just a few blocks from the White House. I don't know how close we can get though. They might have the protest fences up. Those cameras monitor 24/7. I don't even know if people monitor cameras anymore, or if they have some sort of AI that detects something abnormal or something. Oh, well, they cleared out all the stuff. So the next block is what's now known as Black Lives Matter Plaza. When I was last here with my kids, it was filled with like t-shirt vendors and cotton candy sellers and all sorts of crazy stuff. Hey, Essex. But today, it's just empty. The police have closed the street, probably to stop people from vandalizing things. The situation is a little tense in Washington right now. 36 hours ago, the city police shot and killed an 18-year-old African-American boy in southeast DC. It was originally said he was a minor, so everybody's like, oh, they killed the boy, they killed the boy. Then it came out, no, he'd actually turned 18. And nevertheless, protesters showed up at all the police stations, at the mayor's house, the police chief's house. However, DC government has outfitted every policeman with a body camera. And in any officer-involved shooting, the footage is released within a day. So the body camera footage came out, and lo and behold, the kid had a gun in his hand, was raising the gun towards the officer. Now, he ended up throwing the gun. He wasn't going to shoot it, but he threw it But the cop didn't have time to think, and as soon as he sees a kid running at him with a gun, raising it, well, he shot him and he killed him. So the protesters kind of like backed off a bit, because this was a known gang member with drugs and crime links, apparently, and the police shot him. But the city was a little bit tense the other night, because nobody really knew how things would go. So here we go. Can you see the big words? Let's just walk down the middle of it, yeah? So this is Black Lives Matter Plaza. Oh, the White House is closed. Crap. It actually goes for 2 blocks. You can even see this from satellites. They're supposed to start tours again, but we'll see. Where are we at? We're in the middle of Lives right now. Lives. The White House is right down there. You can see it at the end of the picture. But I can't get very close today because they've got the riot fences up. Well, the riot fences block off access to the park across from the White House. You can also see many of the buildings here are boarded up in anticipation of violent protests. Family taking pictures. Street art. Oh wow, I didn't even notice. So they've actually painted some of the plywood. Boy, that truck is loud. Now, this is the church where Trump came out to wave the Bible and take a photo. This protesters, on the first night of protest, actually set fire in the basement to this church, which is one of the oldest churches in the city. And then, so the next day or so, Trump came out here and they forcefully cleared out this section of the area. And this is where Trump stood with a Bible for his infamous photo shoot. Notice they did put up so that's the church. The White House is over here, but it is behind the riot fences. So these riot fences go up whenever there's a huge protest. And they've got a lot of stuff written on the wall. I haven't been here. You can't really see the White House. I don't know how close we can get. So this area is known as Black Lives Matter Plaza now. But I tell you, we're going to go around the other direction. The White House Rose Garden is inside the inner sanctum of the White House. It's not someplace we ever get to. This is a park across from the White House. This is known as Lafayette Park. A lot of homeless people, some drug addicts, protesters, crazy people stay in Lafayette Park. There's the White House. It's about as close as I can get. There are people who've been protesting here for like, for whatever, for like months, years even. I don't know what I just kicked. They've actually built a new fence around the White House. You can see it back there. Oh, this wall. There's a whole bunch of stuff over here. I don't even know what some of these mean. Goes on and on. Whew. So the Smithsonian and the art galleries actually have a historian who studies protest art, and they have been coming down here regularly and taking photographs of the protest art to keep it for history. Now this is this. I don't know when we're going to find out with all the mail-in voting. It's going to be a long election. So this is the White House Historical Society, a Stephen Decatur house, but it's all boxed up right now. Inside is actually a really cool gift shop with lots of cool White House-related items, though I suspect it is closed. They sell the White House Christmas ornament every year. But right now, we got a padlock on the door. This is the new executive office building. This is the President's Secret Service base and national security staff are mostly in this office building. Here you can see a couple uniform divisions of the Secret Service. Uniform Division Secret Service handles the exterior building security and the embassy security. Over there you can see a lot of the buildings are boarded up due to the protests. That's the McDonald's that Clinton used to go to. So Clinton used to walk out of the White House and go over to this McDonald's all the time. Eastern Market, yeah, market lunch. Get a crab cake sandwich there. Homeland Security vehicles. It's hot as hell. I don't know how close we can get over here due to the fences. No, I don't think I can go this way. So that's all closed off now. That's the White House Plaza.
It would be different if, let's say,
Protests going on down here. So it was Secret Service, yes. There's a Secret Service vehicle over there too. And Secret Service down there. To be honest, the protesters.
They shall be saved. In Psalms chapter 76 verses 9, when God arose to judge, to save all the men.
They're just protesters. This is the old executive office building. The vice president's office is in this building. Most of the White House staff have their offices in this building. The president's travel secretary, the president's correspondence secretary, the people that fill out the Presidential Fitness Awards certificates. She's making it. Ooh, it's hot. They call it now the Dwight Eisenhower Executive Office Building. Locals call this the Wedding Cake Building. Carter actually wanted to tear this down, but the preservationists stopped him. In Washington, you'll meet people who say, "Oh, I work at the White House." The reality is they have an office in this building. There's only about 15 to 20 people who have an actual office in the White House. Most of them have their offices over here. Who on break? The kids? School? No, school's back. So, interestingly, all these Secret Service guys are all over the place today. It looks like we might have a motorcade later. Motorcade is when the president goes to get a hamburger or something, and they close down the streets. Actually, the White House is painted white. The actual color of the stone was kind of a sandstone. Oh, we got a protest. Looks like Russians or some other random protest. Kosovo is the heart of Serbia. Oh, Serbians, yay, great. Serbians protesting. Guys, it's over. Secret Service riot unit. Like, what am I doing here? We're bored. We're all bored. Bicycle cops. Big turnout, 20 people. So the White House is back over there. I guess I might be able to get around to the south side. Another Secret Service car. They're definitely thinking of motorcade today. It's Friday. I don't know what maybe normally he goes on his helicopter today. That's actually a memorial to the big red one. Whatever lunch is going to be back home, I think. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to get home because I've walked all the way down here and it's a long walk back home. So that's the American Red Cross headquarters over there. Everything's closed. It's so annoying. They're putting in a new fence around the White House. Well, that's nice of them. Yeah, I don't feel like riding in somebody else's car or subway. I could take a scooter. I did actually bring rubber gloves in case I had to get a scooter. Oh, they got the new fence down here. I don't even know if we can see the White House from down here. Because they put the... So the white fence over there is... take this off for a second. So they're putting up a new 12-foot high fence around the exterior perimeter of the White House grounds. There used to be an 8-foot high fence, but they found that people could get over that pretty easily. But 12 feet was a little bit harder. I can get a bike, I can get something. Or maybe just walk. Maybe I should just walk. So they're still building this 12-foot fence. They finished it on the other side of the White House, but now they've moved down to the south side, which surprisingly is actually called the front of the White House. The part that I just showed you, that part of the White House, that's the back. The front of the White House, under the old Scottish architectural tradition, the front of the White House faces the water, and the Potomac is down there. So this side of the White House is considered the front. And I don't even know if I go up there, if I could even show you the White House because of the fence. Maybe if I go out in this field. Damn, this is high grass. Guys, mow the frickin' grass. It's all frickin' weeds, too. It's all Bermuda grass. I hate Bermuda grass. Ah! It's all wet. I know. Ugh. Oh my god, it's like a swamp out here. I mean, literally, it's like a frickin' swamp. I mean, look how deep the grass is. Alright, I'm pissed. But I wanted to show you, oh, there's the White House Christmas tree. Maybe if I go over the Christmas tree, we'll be in a good enough position to show you the actual White House. So, when the grass is mowed, they actually play softball out here. And they have military parades and other stuff. But right now, I guess they're just like, screw it, I don't need to mow the grass. So we're headed to the White House Christmas tree. The top of the Christmas tree was cut off by a low-flying presidential helicopter on an emergency landing once. Not really, I just make that part up because it sounds kind of cool. Over to our right is the Washington Monument. The District of Columbia government suggested moving the Washington Monument earlier this week in what's considered a stupid political faux pas. Hey, we can see the White House. Oh. So you can actually see it. So this is considered the front of the White House. The president actually lives on the third floor, the top floor. That's the presidential residence. The wall is a temporary wall. That white wall is just a temporary wall while they're building a new fence underneath it. So that white wall will come down shortly. No, they don't automatically shoot you. Though there are snipers on the roof. Let's see if we can see the snipers today. Huh. Well, the White House is right there. So, I don't know. 200 yards maybe? 2 football fields? Okay, let's play Find the Snipers. Find the sharpshooters on the roof. Anyone see a sniper? Not today. Some days you can see them. Yeah, they're snipers. They're always there. In fact, on the new executive office building, the NEOB, there's actually an anti-aircraft missile battery. If you look on Google Maps really closely, you can see the missile battery. They've got a bunch of short-ranged anti-aircraft missiles stationed on top of the new executive office building. Just type White House missile battery and you'll find some photos on Google. White House missile battery. So I tell you what, guys, we've pretty much gotten to where I told you I was going to be down here on the monuments. I'm going to sign off now and make my way back home. It's a very long walk, as you can imagine. I just got down here. Let's go over here and leave you with a picture of the White House while we sign off. Oh, there's the National Christmas tree. Long scope, yeah, we still have some battery left to rent a scooter or order a cheeseburger or whatever the heck we're going to do for lunch today. Gotta go get a message from the kids. I'm definitely going to get a drink of water, though. I'm pretty thirsty. Okay, let's get back up here and give you the sign off. Alright guys, thanks a lot for watching today. I miss Hong Kong too, and we'll catch you all next time. YouTube Penguin6, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Penguin6. See you later.